I have got some ghost stories for you.
I come home from the gym and the chairs are all stacked upside down. I'm like a very intricate stack.
There was a werewolf on our porch swing holding one of our kittens.
The pen was all busted open and there is blood everywhere.
There's like somebody standing in the middle of the bed with their finger pushing straight up on the canopy, like a tent pole. But there's nothing there, and I laid in bed like a little kid. I pulled the covers up over my eyes.
This little boy told paranormal investigators, apparently my grandfather came back from the dead to harass a toddler.
So that is my ghost story.
Hi, and welcome to Haunted AF, the podcast of real ghost stories told by real people. We are your hosts. I'm Julie Fisk.
And I'm Rebecca Black, and I just tried to apparently take over for you.
I bet I know what threw you off.
What?
I said the podcast of real ghost stories, and you probably wanted to say true-ish, didn't you?
True-ish ghost stories told by a couple of girls.
Someone, and we do appreciate the positive feedback that we get from anywhere. And someone posted a very lovely comment on one of our YouTube videos.
Lovely-ish comment.
And yes, they said they're true-ish ghost stories. It's like, true-ish?
True-ish.
What does that mean?
Yeah.
Hosted by two girls.
Does he think we're 12?
First though, coming up. It's going to be a rough day, guys.
I'm sorry.
Really, really sorry. I'm going on literally zero sleep. And I'm not joking when I say that. I took a Sudafed yesterday, and I've just been tripping balls ever since, I guess.
I don't know how you're doing it.
I'm dried up like an old apple doll. You know, one of those things that looks like a witch, but it's an apple.
Oh my God, is that what that was? An apple?
It was an apple.
I always thought it was like raisins smushed together.
Well, I think if you put a raisin on it, that's how you make the eyeballs.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyhow, I didn't sleep last night, so I'm a mess. Rebecca's high.
On menopause life, if you can call it that.
Okay, so coming up, we've got an Abraham Lincoln ghost story. It is about damn time.
Awesome.
And we've got a creepy tale out of Guantanamo Bay.
Yes, cannot wait. But first, we have to thank our patrons. Say hello and thank them. Adam Rogers, Amanda Kirsten, Diana Meetuk.
I think it's Matuk. And I talked to Diana, and she said, do your best. I don't care if you screw up my name.
Oh, thank you.
So thank you, Diana.
Bless you, woman. Don't forget, we are continuously posting exclusive content on our Patreon page. So if you've binged everything here on Haunted AF, the regular old podcast, head on over to the Patreon.
Yeah.
You can hear our pregame, which is a lot of fun. That's patreon.com/hauntedaf.
And before we get into the ghost stories, we just have to say thank you to everybody who sent stories about the weird stuff I saw on the side of the road.
That was great. Nice.
They were amazing. And we got another one this week. This is from Billy Joe. She says, one time I was driving home and I saw a guy in a tinfoil spacesuit holding a sign that said, "This way to the moon bus."
That's what dreams are made of right there.
Well, the real question is, would you follow him?
Yes, I would.
I think I would too. I just need to see the moon bus.
Same. Where is it? I want to see what's inside, outside, all of that.
All right, let's get into it. This story comes from Emma.
Hi, Julie and Rebecca. This is Emma. I'm from Sweden. Firstly, I would just like to say that I really enjoy your podcast. You're doing a great job and you're so funny. I've been thinking for a while now that I should share my and partly my dad's story as well. And it all started when I was around 10 years old, and I was eating breakfast at home alone, and all of a sudden I just hear someone breathing really loudly behind me. Obviously, I got very scared, and I ran out into school, basically. And then a couple of months after that, I asked my dad if he believed in ghosts and spirits. And he said, well, yeah, I hear them all the time going up and down the stairs. It scared me quite a bit. So that conversation ended right there now. Some 12 years passed, and I had just moved in with my now fiance. One night we were getting some crisp bread in the kitchen, and the Scandinavian hard rye bread. I just put one piece out on the kitchen counter, and we looked away for, 2-3 seconds. And when we looked back, it was as if someone had, taken a bite out of it. So it was in 2 pieces now, and they were literally like 2 inches apart. And I am pretty certain that can't happen naturally. Around the same time, we also had some things from the kitchen. Some things disappeared. So we actually got to thinking that we had a house ghost. So we named him Harold for this flat where me and my fiance live. We actually have archives, from the city. They have this list of what people died of in the late 19th century in the early 20th century. And we found a lot of cases of TB, tuberculosis. And then we found one man who was in his mid-50s, and he actually hung himself. I don't know, I keep thinking that that's maybe Harold. Then just this Christmas, because of me listening to you guys and being so interested in all this, I asked my dad, remember that conversation we had 15 years ago now? He said, yeah, I still hear them going up and down the stairs. And actually, I have experienced some other things as well. And one of those things were a very long time ago. He was in a barn on the property, and he was going to go up to the loft, where the hay is. And when he looked up, there was a goblin there, a little grey one. That's in our Scandinavian folklore. They had a bit of a moment and looked at each other. And my dad looked away, and when he eventually looked back, it was gone. So yeah, that was my story, and I hope you enjoyed it.
So thank you, Emma. I know, and that, we've gotten a couple of goblin stories.
I know, that's so exciting. I'm sorry. I get very excited about the goblin story. I don't know why. I want to see one. I think they sound awesome.
Well, they are. They are. I Googled like the traditional Scandinavian goblin, and they have the great big nose. They're really funky looking.
Oh.
And the great part about it is that Emma said that her father felt that the goblin was protective. Like he was a good guy looking out for him. Yeah, which I thought was great because the other goblin stories that we've gotten before, they're bad goblins.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I don't want to say that I want to see a goblin, but I kind of want to see a goblin.
I'm in. I'm all in on the goblin.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'd recover well from that though.
It's kind of like a cat.
Yeah, it's not.
It's not.
No, it'd be a brown pants situation, definitely.
Aw. So this next story comes from Jess. My grandparents owned a house in upstate New York, and I never felt good there. I was always afraid to be alone in certain areas, particularly upstairs. My parents always brushed it off and made me think I was crazy until I was an adult. Then they told me the truth. When my grandparents bought this house, my parents went upstate to help them paint. They painted the first coat, then went out to eat while it dried. When I got back, my mother found a stack of pictures in the built-in bookshelf that hadn't been there before. They were of the woman who'd lived there before, who died after being tortured and left to starve in the upstairs bedroom. My grandfather knew all of this, but bought the house anyway because he didn't believe in ghosts.
And I bet he got it cheap too.
No doubt, half off at least. My parents lived there right after I was born, and my dad often heard music in the nursery where I slept. He'd find the music box playing for no reason or toys in my crib making noise even though I was asleep. My parents left the nursery as is when we moved out, assuming I'd have a place to sleep when we visited my grandparents. Once my aunt was there alone and heard a loud bang upstairs in my nursery. She ran to check and found everything in the room tossed around. There were clothes and blankets everywhere, so she refused to be alone in the house after that. Things like that continued, and everyone had experiences there, believers and non-believers alike.
I asked Jess, I'm like, who tortured that poor woman?
No
Who did that?
kidding. Like,
And
what's the rest of the story there?
I think she said it was the sons. Yeah.
Their own mother?
And not to be gross, but if you guys have a true crime based ghost story that you want to send,
Bring it.
Yeah, we love that stuff. But
the gorier the better.
Google, if you can Google or find any other information, because it's pretty amazing when you guys send like the articles and the backup with that stuff.
Oh man.
Yeah, what a story. Okay, so here's our Guantanamo Bay story. It says, my buddy, we'll call him Bill, is in the National Guard and was deployed to Camp Delta for 9 months. As you can imagine, there are a lot of strange occurrences in a place like that. On this particular night, he was working security in the single-cell isolation block. His partner had stepped out for a smoke, and Bill was reviewing the logbook. Out of the corner of his eye, he caught movement from the upper deck of the block. Problem was, there was only one prisoner in this particular block, and he was in the first-floor cell, approximately 10 yards in front of where Bill was sitting. He didn't think much of it until he saw it again. Bill went upstairs to check the cells to see if maybe an animal had gotten inside, but found nothing. On his way back to his post, the one prisoner beckoned him over. In broken English, the man said, "You see them too?"
No.
"See what?" replied Bill, still not 100% believing what he saw. "The jinn," said the prisoner, and then he went back to his cot.
What's that?
Yeah, jinn is like they're ghosts.
Okay.
Yeah. So Bill sat back down at his post and pretended to check the log, but he watched the area intently. That's when he saw it. A man-sized figure crossed the glass door of the top cell. No features, just a black shadow. Bill ignored that area for the rest of the night and tried to convince himself it was just a hallucination of some kind. Then he spoke to some of the other guards, a shift swap, and learned that apparently this happened almost every rotation. Oh, and as always, you can call me Nighthawk.
Nighthawk.
I love it when he says
that's a
those stories.
good one, Nighthawk.
I know, and it reminds me of, remember, we just posted that prison cell
Yeah.
TikTok not long ago. All right, so this next story comes from Tamara.
Hello, ladies of Haunted AF. My name is Tamara. I'm from San Antonio, Texas, and I'm driving right now, so you might have some road noise in the background, so I apologize. I have lots of stories. I've seen things my entire life, stupid, crazy things that don't happen to normal people always happen to me. But what I love about this story and why I'm decided to share this one out of all of them is that I have a witness, my adorable 5th grade son at the time. So this happened about 6 years ago, and my husband was out of town, and I'm sleeping. I have 4 children. They're sleeping. It's the middle of the night. I was tossing and turning and kind of rolled over, and as I did, I saw a giant black shadow standing at the end of my bed, probably about 6.5 to 7 feet tall. And it was blacker than black. It was an outline of a man, and he was wearing a hat, a large farmer's hat, like a large wide-brimmed, flat, wide-brimmed hat. And I just looked at him and went, oh, not today, because my husband was not there, and it made me a little nervous.
A little.
And so I just kind of rolled over and made myself go back to sleep. What? Well, the morning came, and I wake up to go get my kids ready for school. My oldest is motivated by food, so of course he's the first one up and needs to go eat breakfast right away. So he runs downstairs. A couple seconds later, he comes running back upstairs, and his eyes are ginormous. And he said, "Mom, there's a man standing in our kitchen." And I'm like, "What?" And, I'm nervous because it's me and 4 kids home by ourselves. And he's like, "Mom, there's a man in our kitchen." I'm like, "What do you mean there's a man in our kitchen?" And he said, "There's like this black shadow of a man, and he's wearing this hat." And of course, I'm thinking, he saw what I saw. And I kind of talked him off the ledge. I'm like, "It's okay." And he said, he looked at me, and then he looked out the window. And then I just ran back upstairs, and I said, "Well, let's go downstairs together and we'll go investigate." Because I have seen things my entire life, I wasn't nervous, but I didn't know if any of my kids would inherit that gift from me. And apparently my oldest has inherited that. So it was a bonding moment for us. I think it was maybe an ancestor protecting us. I haven't seen him since. And that was 6 years ago. So I do have another story from Okinawa, Japan. That one's crazy. But I know that you guys have said that Okinawa, Japan, you've gotten lots of stories from there. And having been there, yeah, that place is haunted AF, ladies. All right. Thank you so much. Your podcast is great.
Okay, so the Hat Man. We haven't had a Hat Man story
Not in a while, yeah.
And, I was thinking, because she felt like he was personally connected to her. And we've had that before where people say that they don't feel threatened by the Hat Man. They're able just to roll over and go back to sleep.
Which I don't know whether it's a relative or not. I'm like, whatever you are, why are you in my business? Get out.
Okay, could it be, how guys used to wear hats all the time?
Uh-huh.
Maybe it's just like a whole bunch of different ghosts wearing
a
hats.
hat because it was like trendy.
Yeah.
I mean...
Yeah.
Why wouldn't it be?
Because we constantly hear about the Hat Man.
Yeah, I assume that about the nightgown, the white nightgown that we always hear about.
The white nightgown. And
like, that was very common back in, I don't know, 1800s or whatever.
White nightgown, Hat Man, and then the lady with the high collar thing with her hair up in a bun. Always the same people. Oh, okay. Before we do have a Dead Pet of the Week story coming up.
Yay.
But before we do that, 2 things I wanted to tell you guys. First of all, William Mark McCullough, who did A
Yes.
Savannah Haunting. He directed that, wrote and directed it. He was on our season 6 finale. He's awesome. So he's on The Walking Dead. Yes. So I guess he was just posting this on his Instagram. Season 11, episode 11. It's on AMC Plus right now. He plays Moto. So go check that out.
Can we talk about the inappropriate conversation that we were having about him last night? Because, okay, Mark McCullough, he doesn't listen, so it's fine. He's hot.
He's kind of hot.
He's super hot.
He's
And
hot.
like he posted these pictures from The Walking Dead, and he's wearing like this, I don't know, farmery type hat.
It shouldn't be sexy, but it is.
And I was like, it's Tom Sawyer meets something.
Yeah. Something delicious.
Yeah, like, that's hot.
We were texting back. I'm like, did you see Mark McCullough? He's like, yeah, did you see? Like both of us, we turned into dirty old men for a little bit.
We really did. I'm like, if you put like a piece of like hay in his mouth, I would have been like, oh, that's the
Come
man.
and
That's
get me.
goodness.
Come
What a
on, Moto.
fantasy we didn't know we had or needed.
So go watch The Walking Dead and follow him on Instagram too, so you can see all his cute pictures. Also, if you have not found Haunted TikTok yet, you need to, okay? Because, I mean, talk about laying in bed looking at shit at 11 o'clock at night that's going to scare the crap out of you. But yes, hashtag haunted TikTok. Go and find this stuff. And specifically, there is a woman who has been posting these stories. So apparently, her name is Tasha Darby's, I think. And Tasha and her family bought a pumpkin farm.
Okay.
And so they're living there in an old farmhouse.
Nice.
And so most of the stuff she's posting on TikTok is about this new pumpkin farm and their move and everything, but they're getting all this weird activity at their house, and it's pretty amazing. So we're trying real hard to get her on the podcast, but fingers crossed. Yes. But again, go find her. She's at Tasha_DarbZZ. Go watch those videos. I'm trying to share a bunch of them. I shared one last week, but they're so much fun. Okay. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
We simply don't hear Curtis's Dead Pet of the
Not
Week
enough.
theme song enough.
No,
Yes.
it's fantastic. So this story, hello ladies, I love your podcast. Been listening to it for several months now. I heard you mentioned the ghost pet of the week and knew I had to write in. My stories are rather short, but they're good ones.
Ooh.
The first is about Trixie, a Labrador retriever who died in 2007. Not long after she passed, I was alone in a hotel room in Paris, France, not Texas, when I suddenly smelled the distinctive odor of Trixie's flatulence. Yes. Again, I was alone in the room, so no one else could be blamed for it. I think she was trying to tell me that she's all right on the other side. But yeah, ghost toots. Then there's the story of Colby, a Chinook who passed away in 2018. Roughly 18 months later, I was sleeping in my own bed and was woken by a dog jumping onto it. My first thought was, that's just Melly, Colby's twin sister. I clearly felt the weight of a 70-pound dog do a little turn on his bed, as they do, and then laying down against my back. I thought, aw, that's sweet. Melly came to sleep with me. So I reached back to give her a little pat, and you guessed it. There was no dog there. I sat up in bed and turned on the light. Melly wasn't even in the room. It definitely had me a little freaked out. I hope these stories can make it on your podcast someday. I'll keep listening. Thanks, Doug.
Oh, thank you, Doug.
Sweet.
This next one comes from Angela. When I was about 6 or 7, I was a very weird child, like
I
most.
like you already.
So I was sitting in a giant tub full of Beanie Babies in my closet.
What?
Just what?
Why is there a bathtub in the closet?
I don't know. But she says, just chilling, living my best life.
I mean, that does sound awesome.
It does sound great. Clear as day, right in my ear, I heard, hello. I jumped up and booked it out of that closet. Thing about that closet is, as soon as I could start talking, I would cry and tell my mom I didn't want to sleep in my room because E.T. lived in my closet.
Oh, E.T. phone home,
And
eating Reese's Pieces.
And that's from Angela. It's like E.T. sounds great, but if you woke up and you saw that, yeah,
oh God,
that
no.
it wouldn't be cool at all.
So I live in Springfield, Illinois, which is Abraham Lincoln's hometown, and our downtown area has several buildings that predate the Civil War, including his law office, his home, and him and his family are buried here at Oak Ridge Cemetery. Anyways, one day I'm downtown at a local coffee shop in a converted house that was actually built in 1850 by a guy that borrowed the money to build the house from Abe Lincoln. So I'm sitting at one of the tables and I head up towards the front to get my drink. As I'm approaching the counter, I glance over my shoulder and Honest Abe himself is walking in from the side room. We just stood and stared at each other for about 5 or 6 seconds while I tried to get my brain to work again. I had that icy feeling in my veins and the hair on my arms and the back of my neck was standing up. And then I remembered it's the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's death. So the Lincoln reenactors were all out in full costume because of the event happening downtown.
I'm sorry. I want somebody to mistake me for a ghost.
Right? Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. We got to find like the Lady in White or something.
Yeah.
Maybe we should do a Lady of the Lake. We should take turns.
We could totally be Lady of the Lake every weekend.
Yes, we could. We've even got the weird ghosty white dresses that we got from the Kelly Clarkson show.
Yes.
They sent us costumes. And I know you and I, they're both like,
no, I'll never throw it away.
I know.
Because Kelly touched it. I know she did.
Yeah, she gently packed it in a box
and sent
for
it to us.
Yeah, she never saw this. She had no idea what we were wearing that day.
She was completely surprised when we came on camera.
Yeah, she's like, what the hell are you wearing?
Where are y'all?
You're wearing costumes? Anyhow, but we have these weird like white dresses that we could put on and just go like, ooh.
I totally want to do that now.
Walk around White Rock Lake.
Yeah.
We'd get shot. We're in Texas.
No,
we'd get shot so fast.
Don't remind me about how everybody's crazy right now.
I know. So this next story comes from Kaylee. She says, my mom and I used to take late night drives when I was in high school for girl time. That is awesome. I love that. One night on one of our drives, we saw a girl about 5'5" with long black hair. Yes, like the freaking Grudge, in a white lace nightgown. She was holding a teddy, stop it. She was holding a teddy bear by its foot, just standing on the side of the road. Now, mind you, this was around 1 a.m. I asked my mom if she saw this girl too, and she said no. So I made her turn around to double check. So we went back down the hill, and this time my mom saw the girl as well. So, okay, now we had to turn around and drive past her a third time because they're heading home. And when my mom stopped the car, she says, who does that? Right. And she rolled down my window because the girl was on my side of the car. So I freaked out and I jumped into the back seat. My mom asked if she was okay or needed any help because she's a mom.
Oh,
like,
that's sweet.
That's very, very sweet of her.
I would have yelled at it. Is that a horrible? I would have rolled the window and been like, get out of here!
Get out of here, you evil
you
demon!
Ghost!
She's like, I'm lost. Can you help me? No, the girl never responded or even looked like she knew we were there. So my mom drove away, and to this day, we don't know if she was a ghost or real or what. And again, that is from Kaylee.
She was a damn ghost.
She was a ghost.
I'm telling you right now, she was a ghost.
See, that's what we got to do. Put on our weird dresses and grab our teddy bears and go stand on the road somewhere.
Dude, the teddy bear, that's what really got me in that story.
Teddy bear.
Like holding it by the leg and it's just dangling there. I assume it's wet for some reason or like muddy.
Definitely.
Gross.
Yeah, some like stain of unknown origin on there. Definitely a weird smell.
All right. Well, on that note, remember everybody, tell your friends and your family all about us, Haunted AF.
Also, we're starting up our film podcast again this week because we have to talk about the Batman. And more importantly, we have to talk about Tyler Perry's new movie, the Medea movie.
Medea Homecoming.
Yes, because Rebecca got to see that.
I did.
If you want to listen to the Movie Minute, you can find that on my film website, juliesaysso.com, or anywhere that you find podcasts. And listen, we need those ghost stories, seriously. So if you have that one you've been sitting on for a while and you're like, I don't know why I haven't sent it. No, send it. Please send that to us. Write them down or record them and send them to hauntedafpodcast@gmail.com so we can use them on season 7 of Haunted AF.